you, many people listening, you and somebody else might be thinking, I want to monetize my show. So I'm going to get as many ads and advertisers as I humanly can. Well, here's what I've got to say. I think that if your main goal is to hook listeners, get listeners or viewers connected to your podcast, the more advertisements that you have, the more likely that viewer or listener is going to get bored. They're going to go away, because during the advertisement, when that's happening, they kind of forget where we are going with the content. And that makes them generally leave in the middle of an advertisement. I try to be real sensitive with my ads. I have an ad about my own service on most of my episodes. So I've got a company. It's called Grow Your Show. We do a couple of things. We take off all of the hard work for podcasters. So basically, we do all the editing and post-production and emailing the guest and creating all the promotional materials and posting it to your social. And so sometimes I'll have an advertisement that just says, hey, we can do this for you. And another thing we do is paid ads, paid marketing. We run the campaigns to get you in front of more listeners. So we've got people that come to us and they basically have never been in front of anybody. Their podcast is like big crickets. So let me click the cricket button. Their podcast is being heard by maybe just themselves, and or maybe it's being heard by their family or just a few listeners, but no more than 300. And they get frustrated because they're like, how do I grow this thing? I've tried everything that everybody's told me, and I still am not in front of enough people. And so what we do is we run paid marketing ads to pull people toward the podcast that are proven, that we've done for a long time. It's expensive, costs a lot of money. It's a pretty penny, but we do that. And so I have some other advertisements that just mention this in the middle of the episode. And so the way that I do it is the way that I'm suggesting that you do it. You know what you're going to talk about after the ad, okay? You already have an idea of where you're going to go. So for example, for me right now, I'm talking about teasers, and then I talked about intro, and I'm talking about advertising, and I'm also going to talk about music in the outro. And then I've got these 5 things that are just foolproof that have to happen, whether you're doing an audio experience or video experience. I've got these five like real big keys, and they're important. They're going to help you to be able to maintain a viewership or a listenership, depending on whether this is your audio experience or your video experience. But you got to make sure you do all 5 of these things. So with me, the way I've got this going through my head is I'm going to talk about the teaser, the ads. I'm going to talk about the intro, and I'm going to talk about the outro and the music. And then I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to say something like, I'm going to get to these 5 things, but first, quick word from our sponsor. And then it'll just be me as a sponsor. It's a quick, like 15 or 30-second ad, right? Think about it. And then we come back in. And when I come back in from the ad, what you're going to hear is, so here's the takeaway for you. So remember, when you are doing your ads, if you're doing ads, A, have as few ads as possible. B, don't just have your company or yourself insert it wherever the heck you want. If you do that, it's going to be confusing. Like, imagine if I was watching He-Man and they didn't do it. If they didn't put it at a part where I needed to see it, then they just put it at a random part, any old random part. And they didn't even tell me that they would be right back. This is what most podcasters are doing. This is a huge problem. Most podcasters, when they want the ads, they just say, oh, just put it in the middle. If it's a 20-minute episode, just put it exactly at the 10-minute. Or they'll do a little bit more. They'll do a little bit more, not a lot more. And they'll basically say, hey, at some place, I'm going to ask a question. They're going to answer it. And then I want you to go into an advertisement somewhere in the middle-ish. So if I've got a 20-minute episode, put it anywhere between the 5 to 15-minute mark. Somewhere in the middle. And I'll ask a question, they'll answer it. Then you splice this in. And then when it comes back in, I'm just going to be asking a different question. Well, that confuses the listener too, because they don't really remember where we were going. And because there's no cliffhanger. There's no, we'll be right back. There's no getting you excited or giving you the, remember the name of the game on that last episode when we were the last solo episode? What were we talking about? Insight, curiosity.